Hello everyone, I am Neha Kazi from Leelavati Laljudyal High School and College of Commerce. In our geography class today, we are going to talk about chapter number 3, Physiography and Drainage of India and Brazil. So in this lesson, we are going to cover up the topic in short. So let's begin. So first of all, we're going to talk about the point of comparison. All right. So we are going to talk about India and Brazil in terms of the physiographic division. So in India, we're going to talk about five things, and in Brazil, we are going to talk about five things. So India has the Himalayas, the North Indian Plain, the Peninsula, coastal plains, and island groups. In Brazil, we are going to talk about the highlands, the Great Escarpment, the coastal region, the plains, and the island groups. All right, so let's begin now. So here is a map of India, as we can see. So this is basically the Himalayan mountain range that we have, the Great North Indian Plain, the Peninsula Plateau, the coastal plains, and here we can see have the islands. So let us individually talk about these things now. So we'll begin with the Himalayas. So first of all, we have to understand that these are the young fold mountains in the world and a major mountain system of the continent of Asia. We're not only talking about India, but of Asia. Okay. So now Himalayas, all right, is divided further. See here, so we have the Shivalik, which is the southernmost range, all right, and the lesser Himalayas, then the greater Himalayas. We also have the trans-Himalayan ranges, which are located towards the North Himalayan ranges, all right. So now here, when we are talking about the Shivalik range, lesser Himalayas and greater Himalayas, let's go back to the map. So here will be our Shivalik range, then comes our lesser Himalayas, and then the greater Himalayas. All right. So it goes from here, here, and then here. Let's continue. Let us see what else do we have in Himalayan ranges. So towards the west-east direction, we have the western Himalayas. That is our Kashmir Himalayas. Towards the central Himalayas, we have the Kumaon Himalaya. And towards the eastern side, we have the Assam Himalaya. Okay. So western, central, and eastern. Okay. That's how we are talking about it. Let's go back. All right. Then we'll talk about the North Indian plains. Okay. So they are basically the division is of the Ganga plains, the desert, and Punjab Haryana plains. All right. So let's first talk about the Ganga plains. What you have to, keep in mind is that the delta. All right. The delta of the Brahmaputra rivers, that is the Sundarbans. It extends in the state of West Bengal in India and Bangladesh. So Sundarbans is the largest delta which is there in the world. All right. Then the Thar Desert. Now towards the western part, all right, of the North Indian plains, it is occupied by the Thar Desert, or we also call this as the Marusthali. All right. So this is in the state of Rajasthan, right? So that's about our Thar Desert. And the Punjab Haryana plains that we have, they are towards the north upside, okay? So north of the Thar Desert. And the land that we have in Punjab and Haryana is very fertile. So the soil there is very fertile. And this area, this region is agriculturally developed. All right. So that's about the three North Indian plains that we have. Let's proceed further and talk about the peninsula. Okay, so in the peninsula, the mountain regions, we have the Aravalli Mountains, which is towards the northern part. The Vindhya and the Satpura ranges are in the central part. All right, then we have the Western Ghat and the Eastern Ghat, both located in western part and eastern part respectively. All right, then comes in our plateaus. So it is a series of plateaus which is bordering the plain region. All right. So let's talk about the features of the western coastal area and the eastern coastal area. So because we saw the map, we know that we have two borders like this of coasts, right? So we'll talk about the western coast as well as the eastern coast, okay? So the western coast, as you can see here, it borders the Arabian Sea, and the eastern one borders the Bay of Bengal. Then here it is rocky and comparatively narrower compared to the eastern region. So the eastern region is comparatively broader than the western region. All right. Then this is, short and westward flowing rivers. They flow towards the western coast and they meet the Arabian Sea because they are in the western side. Okay. And here what happens in the eastern side, that they have long eastward flowing rivers that are there. Okay. And they meet the Bay of Bengal. All right. Then we have the rivers which form estuaries in the western coastal region, and the eastern coastal plain, they have deltas. So students, you have to keep these pointers in mind. Okay. Estuaries in the western coastal region and deltas in the eastern coastal regions. All right. Let's proceed further and talk about the island groups. So here we have the Lakshadweep Island and Andaman and Nicobar group of islands. Okay. So here Lakshadweep, as we saw in the map, is located in the Arabian Sea. Andaman and Nicobar is in the Bay of Bengal towards the eastern side. We saw that, right, in the map. So here they have atoll islands and they're comparatively small in extent, and they are short in height. Okay. So when we are talking about the Lakshadweep Island group, they are atoll islands. They are comparatively small in extent and they are short in height. So three qualities we're going to keep in mind about the Lakshadweep Island. Talking about the Andaman group of islands here, they are volcanic. Okay, the islands that there are, they are volcanic in nature, comparatively larger in extent and have hilly regions in the interior parts. So volcanic, comparatively larger in extent, and they have hilly regions in the interior part. Okay. And now talking about the Nicobar group of island, here most of the islands are atoll. So only one point we are keeping in mind here, that they are atoll islands. Okay. So Lakshadweep has atoll islands. Nicobar has atoll islands. Okay. Andaman has volcanic islands. Okay. So that's how we are going to remember this. Let's continue now. So let us now talk about the physiographic division of Brazil. So we had seen there were 5 pointers in physiographic division of Brazil as well. So let's start with the highlands. Okay. So most of the region of Brazil is covered in the highlands that is there. So the highlands of Brazil, and they have the Guiana highlands. They together form the core of the continent of South America. So these highlands, the Brazilian highlands are there, and then you have the Guiana highlands. So let's talk about this. So the Guiana highlands is towards the northern part. Okay. Pico de Nebela peak is the highest peak lying on the border between Brazil and Venezuela. Comes in objective, so you can keep this in mind. It is Pico de Nebelina, which is the highest peak which is there on the border of Brazil and Venezuela. You have to remember this name. Okay. The Brazilian highlands are located in the southern and the eastern part of Brazil. All right. We are only talking about the locations right now. Then the northern slope of Brazil. So here Amazon, its tributaries flows towards the northern side. Okay. There are many rapids and waterfalls which are formed because of these rivers. So the rivers originating from the northern slope meet the Atlantic Ocean. All right. That's about your northern slope. So what do we have to keep in mind in northern slope? That we have Amazon and its tributaries. They flow from the northern slope and they form waterfalls also, and they go and meet the rivers. Then rivers which are originating from the northern slope meet the Atlantic Ocean. All right. Then let's talk about the southern slope. So there are major rivers like Uruguay, Paraguay and Parana which originate from the southern slope. All right. And these rivers, they flow from Brazil and enter Argentina. Okay. So very factual, students, you just have to remember this. Then we'll talk about the eastern slope. Now these are very steep and they form the Great Escarpment. And now we will also talk about the Great Escarpment. So let us see what this is. So these are towards the eastern side. Like we just saw that eastern side has a very steep slope and then they form the Great Escarpment. So they are towards the eastern side of the Brazilian highlands. Okay. So their altitude, the nature and altitude of the Great Escarpment, it's pretty high. And from Sao Paulo to Porto Alegre, the height of Brazilian highlands or the plateaus decreases. All right. So what happens then? It forms the Great Escarpment. All right. So the altitude, which means the height of the Great Escarpment towards the eastern side of the Brazilian highland is just 790 meters. Okay. So when we are talking about the height or the nature and altitude, how are they formed? It is because of the Brazilian highlands. They keep on decreasing. Okay. And then it forms the Great Escarpment. So what is the altitude? It is approximately 790 meters. Okay. Then what is the effect of this Great Escarpment on the climate? So it actually acts as a barrier, okay, to the southeast trade winds. So it leads to heavy rains in the Brazilian coastal areas, and it also gives rise to the rain shadow area or drought quadrilateral. All right. So in the next chapter, when we have climate, when we're talking about climate, we will also discuss drought quadrilateral, which is towards the northeast of the Brazilian highlands. So what this is basically, because it makes a barrier, whatever moisture is there, they lose it in the Brazilian coastal area. So there they have huge rainfall, okay, great rainfall. But then what happens is, what is behind the Great Escarpment? It becomes a rain shadow area. Very little rain. That's why it is called as drought quadrilateral. Okay. So the northeast side becomes a drought quadrilateral or the rain shadow area, because there is no sufficient rainfall there. All right. Let's proceed now. Okay, so now let's talk about the coastal line that is there. So Brazil has approximately 7,400 kilometers of coastline. Okay, and this is also divided into two, that is northern coast and eastern coast. In India, we saw west and east, correct? Here we have northern coast and we have the eastern coast. All right. So let's talk about the northern coast first. So it is from the Amapá province in the north to the Rio Grande to the place. All right. So Marajo Island, Marajo and São Marcos base lies in this coast. So when an exam, if you get fill up, you generally get this question in the fill in the blanks also, or the odd man out as well, about the coast, northern coast. So we know that Marajo Island is in the northern coast. All right. That is what you'll have to keep in mind. Then see here, Amapá to the north and also Rio Grande to the north. All right, because we're talking about the northern coast. Then we talk about the eastern coast. So here it extends from Rio Grande do Norte to the south. All right. Then there are many small rivers which flow from the eastern coast and meet the South Atlantic Ocean. So São Francisco is the only major river meeting the South Atlantic Ocean in this region. Again, you can keep this name in mind, São Francisco, and it is in the South Atlantic Ocean. So you can remember it like this. So there are many beaches and sand dunes which are there, of course, towards the eastern coast of Brazil. So in some areas, the eastern coast of Brazil is protected by coral reefs and atoll islands. So that's all you have to keep in mind about the coast. Let's talk about the plains now. So the plains in Brazil is, they're divided into the Amazon basin in the north and Paraguay Parana sources region in the southwest. All right. So let's talk about the Amazon plains first. So they are the largest plainlands of Brazil. Okay. It lies between the Guiana highlands and the Brazilian highlands in the northern part of Brazil. All right. So what is the width of it? It is 1,300 kilometers in the west and 240 kilometers towards where the Guiana Highlands and the Brazilian Highlands, where it comes closer. Okay, so most of the area we've already seen that most of the area of the Amazon is inaccessible. Okay, so when we talk about human settlements and population in the further chapters, will that time also come to know that because there are no facilities, transportation is not developed, right? So many things are not accessible here. That is why this area is not much developed. Okay, then the plains of Paraguay and Parana rivers, so they are located towards the southwest of the Brazilian highlands. It is near the source of region of Paraguay and Parana rivers. So features now of Pantanal region. So here it is one of the largest wetlands in the world. Okay, and it is characterized by swamp and marshes. This is located towards the southwest of Brazilian highlands, extending in the state of Mato Grosso do Sul. Let's proceed further. Now coming to the islands. So besides the mainland which is there, Brazil also has some islands. Okay. So we have coastal islands and we also have marine islands here. So now how are these coastal islands formed? It is because of the depositional work of the Amazon River and its tributaries. They are near the eastern coast of Brazil in South Atlantic Ocean. And they also have coral islands, or you can say atoll islands. Okay. So you have to keep in mind that the coastal islands are formed because of the depositional work of Amazon River and its tributaries. Then marine islands. So marine islands have always been a part of the mainland of Brazil. Okay. It is located again in the Atlantic Ocean and nearly 300 kilometers away from the mainland of Brazil. So marine islands are rocky and they are the tops of the submerged mountains. Okay. So just the topmost part is remaining. That's how they are characterized it. So here we have the map of Brazil. Correct? We have seen, see your Amazon basin. The Atlantic Ocean is here. Atlantic Ocean is here. Correct? That is why we were talking about the eastern side. So that's how Paraguay. All right. See how the rivers flow and then they meet Argentina. Okay. The coastal line. It's only this side. Correct? All right. So let us move ahead with our topic. So now physiography is complete. We have seen the physiography of India as well as the physiography of Brazil. Now let's talk about the drainage of India and Brazil. So we will begin now with the drainage part of it. So let's start. Okay, so we're doing a comparison now of India and Brazil with their main drainage. So we have the Himalayan drainage and the Peninsula region. When we are talking about drainage, students, we're going to talk about the rivers. All right. So here in Brazil, you have the Amazon River, then the Paraguay Parana rivers, San Francisco River, and the coastal rivers. So let's talk about this in detail now. Okay. So as we can see here, that they have named us. They've given us the names of all the rivers. Here we have Kaveri, Krishna, Godavari, Tapti, Narmada, Mahanadi, Yamuna, Ganga. Okay, see, it's originating from here, correct? Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Brahmaputra. All right. So this is the drainage system in India. Observe it carefully. Ravi is here, Satluj is here. Let's talk about this now. So the Himalayan drainage. So most of the major rivers, they are originated from the glaciers in the Himalayan side. Okay, they are perennial in nature. So we have the Sindhu river system and we have the Ganga river system. So the main river, first we'll talk about Sindhu and its tributaries. All right. So the main river is Sindhu. And the tributaries which we just saw in the map as well are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Bees. All right. So they all the rivers flow from the state of Jammu and Kashmir. See here. Look. This is what we are talking about. Okay. Yes. So Satluj originates near Mansarovar. The deposition of sediments brought by Satluj and its tributaries has formed the Punjab and Haryana plain. So you need to keep this in mind when we are talking about the Sindhu river system. Let's talk about the next one. Ganga and its tributaries. So the main river is Ganga and it originated from the Gangotri glacier. Okay. And Yamuna is a major tributary of Ganga and it originates at Yamunotri. So Yamuna is a tributary of Ganga but it originates at Yamunotri. And the main river, when we are talking about the Ganga river system and its tributaries, the main river is Ganga and it originates from the Gangotri glacier. Yamuna is Yamunotri. Ganga originates from Gangotri glacier. All right. So here you have Dihang, Brahmaputra, which are the tributaries of Ganga flowing in the northeast region of India. So this side towards this side we had seen Brahmaputra, correct, in the map. So this is basically your northeastern region of India. Then we have Chambal, Ken, Betava, Shon, Damodar, which are also the tributaries of Ganga, but they are in the peninsular part. Okay. So towards the northeast, we only have Dihang and Brahmaputra. And in the peninsular, we have Chambal, Ken, Betava, Shon and Damodar. All right. Let's continue now. The peninsular rivers. So we are done with the Himalayan rivers, now the peninsular rivers. So these are basically the westward flowing rivers and the eastward flowing rivers. So let's talk about the westward flowing rivers first. So there are many rivers which flow towards the western side from Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and the southern Gujarat. They will all have similar features. So in the map also we saw Tapi, Narmada, Mahi, Sabarmati. They flow into the Gulf of Khambat. Then Mahi river flows from the northeast to the southwest. See, these are specific locations, students, so you will have to remember these locations, all right? Then Sabarmati river originates from the southern slopes of Aravali. So Dash river originates from the southern slope of Aravali, it will be Sabarmati. So you can get these questions in objectives also. Then Luni river originates from the western slopes of Aravali and flows into the Gulf of Kutch. So these are the names of rivers and they are places from where they are originating. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the eastward flowing rivers in India. So we have Ganga, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, which are the major eastward flowing rivers. Okay. So here Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, they are originated in the eastern slope of Western Ghat. So eastern slope of Western Ghat is Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. Godavari is the second largest river system that we have in India. Okay. Then Krishna river basin is located to the south of Godavari. Bhima and Tungabhadra are the major territories of rivers of Krishna. So Bhima and Tungabhadra are what? They are major tributaries of Krishna. Okay. So river Kaveri flows through the state of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. It is used for irrigation since a long time. So we are talking about river Kaveri, which flows through the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And it is used for irrigation. Now that was all about India and its drainage. Let's talk about Brazil and its drainage. So here we have Brazil's map. And Amazon, we can see it very evidently. So let's talk about this in detail now. So first we will talk about the Amazon basin. So it originates from the eastern slope of Andes mountain in Peru. So Amazon river basin forms the largest plains in Brazil and it is located towards the north part of Brazil. Okay. So they have a huge discharge of water. It leading to the formation of island near its mouth. Okay, so Amazon river system is a huge river system. Okay, so the width of the mouth of Amazon river is nearly 150 kilometer. All right, and most of the course is towards, it's used for navigation. Most of the part of Amazon is used for navigation. All right, so that's all about the Amazon river basin. These points you need to keep in mind. Then the features of Paraguay and Parana system. So it is towards the southwest region of Brazil. All right, and they flow in the southwest direction in Brazil and meet river Plata in Argentina, because just below it in the map we have seen we have Argentina, correct? So they flow and they meet Argentina there. So they receive their headwaters from the southern slopes of Brazilian highlands. Okay. So the major water, the headwaters that they receive is from the southern slopes of Brazilian highland. So these are the pointers that you need to keep in mind. Now talking about Sao Francisco. So Sao Francisco's entire basin is within Brazil. Okay, flows there, originates there. It's in Brazil only. So it originates from the eastern slopes of Brazilian highlands. Okay, here behind we saw, correct, the Paraguay Parana is from the southern slope of Brazilian highland. And here this is from the eastern slope of Brazilian highland. Okay. So from its origin, for a distance of about 1,000 kilometers, it flows towards the north over the Brazilian plateau and then takes a sharp eastward turn and enters the coastal strip along the South Atlantic Ocean. That is why they said that the entire basin of this river system is in Brazil itself. Okay, so the downstream is Sao Francisco, which is used for navigation for nearly a distance of 250 kilometers. Then we come to the coastal rivers of Brazil. So these rivers are short in length and significant because they are densely populated coastal areas. Again, this is something that we will talk in the human settlements chapter and population chapter, wherein we come to know that majority of the Brazilian people are settled in the coastal areas of Brazil. Okay, that is why here we can see that this is significant. It is important. Why? Because it is densely populated area. Okay, so we have river Paraniba and river Itapecuru, which flow to the north and meet the North Atlantic Ocean. All right, then we have Jacuituha River and river Puswach, which are the rivers which meet the South Atlantic Ocean. All right, and these rivers flow to the east and enter the Atlantic Ocean near Salvador town. Again, how they are flowing, which river they are meeting, and where is the location of it is what's given to us here. All right, so that's all, students, in drainage of India and Brazil and also the physiography of India and Brazil. Like I said, this was just a synopsis of the entire chapter. Certain important points that you can keep in mind and you will be good to go. I hope students shall have understood this. Thank you so much.